Hello folks, welcome to another episode. I hope this video finds you well, wherever you are and whatever you may be doing in this crazy mixed up world that seems to get even more crazy and mixed up by the day, doesn't it? But nonetheless, we persist because we are a resilient species, and simmers, the community of simmers, are really resilient, aren't we? Some of us have been dealing with some performance issues in this sim for a while. I've heard from some of you in the comments. I shared with you some of my recent frustrations in a previous video as well, and those frustrations have continued. I'm hoping that they don't affect this video, but well, I guess time will tell. If you're listening to these words, I've probably got through okay. You know, you got to you fire up the sim these days, you cross all your appendages, you pray to whatever celestial being you happen to believe in, or otherwise. You pray to the simming gods. We all believe in the simming gods, don't we? And roll the dice. It's a bit of a lottery, isn't it, to complete a flight sometimes. Anyway, folks, welcome to something a little bit different, featuring an aircraft currently on your screen that has not featured in a previous video on this channel. That's because I haven't had access to this aircraft until very recently. This is, of course, the Citation LongiJude, or as I call it, the LongiJude. See what I did there, folks? In honour of my number one gal who joins me in the right seat. The LongiJude is what we will call it. And this aircraft is available, and most of you will know this, in the Premium Deluxe version of the sim, which I haven't had until recently. I did splurge over the holiday period and picked up the Premium Deluxe version in part, probably large part, to get my hands on this beast, because this beast has received a significant update as part of the AAU1 beta, courtesy of the folks at Working Title, and they've done a fantastic job. I've been enjoying this aircraft when I've been able to complete flights. I've been enjoying it on a little adventure that I've wanted to do for a long time, actually. I just had to find an aircraft, or wait to sort of have access to an aircraft that would enable that journey to happen. Shall I talk about that journey? I probably should. And a little bit in terms of setting up this particular flight. This is the last leg of a long journey that has taken place here in the LongiJude. I'm just noticing this fella, he needs to give his pants a bit of a press, doesn't he? Hey, have some pride, fella. Now, you may not recognise the terminal. I've never seen a building like it, a terminal building like it. You may think, oh, is the old fella in somewhere in Asia, maybe over there in a place like Bhutan or Nepal, something like that? Well, the answer is no. I'm in a little place called Rarotonga, and if you're wondering where the hell Rarotonga is, you won't be alone. I'd struggle to find it on a map if I hadn't flown in and out of here a few times over the years. This is custom freeware rendition of this airport. Rarotonga is the capital of the Cook Islands, which is a group of islands out to the sort of northeast of NZ, New Zealand, a fair way to the northeast of NZ. And we're going to be flying from Rarotonga down to Auckland today, delivering this aircraft, the final leg of a long journey, as I mentioned. Let me fire up a little nav map and show you where I've been. And this is where I've been, folks. So this has been a Trans-Pacific adventure, which, look, some of you might do this on a regular basis. I'm not some of you. Thank Christ, I hear you say. I haven't done a Trans-Pacific, to my knowledge. Yeah. So I thought, look, time is of the essence. The Grim Reaper circles. Well, he circles us all. He's waiting for us all, hasn't he? But I feel the pressure of time. And I thought, there's a few things I'd like to do, a few bucket list items here in the sim that I'd like to cross off before the Grim Reaper actually gets his foot in the door. So, Trans-Pacific is one of them, but you need an aircraft with a decent range to do it. Okay, and the LongiJude has that range. Fantastic aircraft. I've really been enjoying it. My journey has been done in FSEconomy. So I picked up this aircraft up in Seattle. Purchased it for the FSEconomy group that I've spoken of before and that I'm running, and I will talk about that more during the cruise portion of this flight because we're going to have a significant cruise duration. But picked it up in Seattle with the intention of basing it down here in Auckland and doing some sort of corporate jobs, corporate assignments in and around this region of the world. Because as I previously mentioned, the aircraft has great range, so it can go a long way and go to a lot of interesting places. And the South Pacific, for me, is an interesting place. Oceania in general. This is my hood, you might say. But anyway, we picked it up in Seattle. We did a leg down to headed down to San Jose, and then made the crossing over to Hawaii. We landed at John Rogers Field over there, not far from Honolulu. Then continued the journey south down to a little place called Palmyra, which is down here, PLPA. Then we picked up some passengers, I think, or some cargo or something, and we made the trip down to Christmas Island over here in Kiribati. And then yesterday, or was it the day before, flew from Christmas Island down to Rarotonga. Another long leg, 1,400 of the best nautical miles that you will find in this part of the world. So this region, lots and lots of blue is what you'll see from the air, particularly up at flight level 400 and above, which is where this aircraft likes to run. But that gives you some orientation. We're not far from American Samoa, French Polynesia, Tonga, that sort of area here. Right, plenty of interesting places to visit. A couple of these are sort of coral atolls, and I might show. I took a couple of quick snapshots along the way. I think it was landing into Christmas Island. Very different approach to where you find other parts of the world when you're landing on essentially coral outcrops in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I mean, look at it, dead set middle of the ocean. But so this journey, all up, little land map is saying 7,059 nautical miles. Pretty long. 16 hours and 57 minutes forecast in little nav map. It's taken me a little bit longer than that. It's basing that estimate on sort of current conditions. I've had some huge headwinds coming across from San Jose over to Hawaii, and headwinds all the way. And we're going to have, I think, headwinds here as well. But anyway, the final leg takes us from Rarotonga down to Auckland. I might just bring up that specific leg, the flight plan for that, talk quickly about that, and then we'll get on our way. Alright, and so this is the flight plan for today. We're going to be departing out of runway 08 at Rarotonga, flying a instrument departure, the belly 1 right, or the belly 1R, it's not right, is it? Belly 1R off runway 08, and then joining an airway, pretty much a straight run down into Auckland. We're flying a Star, or at least planning to fly a Star, and looks like we're going to be landing on runway 05 there in Auckland. So that is the plan. Planned or estimated flight time, little nav map, has us at 4 hours and 14 minutes. We'll see how we go. We're going to cruise a little bit lower than what we have been, or lower than what is optimum for this aircraft. We're down at flight level 340 is the plan, just to get out of some of those winds. Having a look at those winds, we can bring this in cruise altitude. Here we go. You can see we're pretty much into the wind all the way across today until we get to Auckland. It sort of turns into more of a northerly breeze, still blowing quite strong. Yeah, that's the plan, folks. Look, my apologies if none of this interests you, all this flight planning stuff. Just wanted to give you some background. I mean, I've got, I'm heavily invested in it, having spent whatever it's been, 13 or so hours until this point flying this aircraft across from Seattle. It will be a longish flight, 4 hours and whatever it is, 4 hours and change. Going to cover a couple of things during the cruise as the view sets itself. Talk a little bit about FSEconomy, the group that I've mentioned. This aircraft, after this flight, will be available to that group along with a range of other aircraft. Share with you some other stuff. We might talk about an update to the sim that got pushed through for those of you running the beta, as I am. That got pushed through this morning, I think, when I launched the sim. It wanted to update. Whatever else comes to mind en route. So welcome on board, folks. The part of the update, a pretty big part of it, is the overhaul of the G5000 Avionics kit that's available in this aircraft. And there's more work to do, but I tell you what, the work that Working Title have done deserves to be applauded. It really is a fantastic setup here in this aircraft. And of course the beta, the AAU1 beta, also gave attention to improving the CJ4, which operates a different set of avionics, and the G3000 that's a part of the TBM 930, and that will find its way into other aircraft in time as well. So just hats off to you guys and gals at Working Title. You've done a fantastic job and we all appreciate it. I'm not going to bore you all with setting all of this stuff up. There are other videos available on the YouTube that bore you if you want. No, they're not boring. But they'll go through, and there's documentation that comes with this, and there's a whole, checklist and all that sort of stuff, as is tradition on this channel. I'm not following any of it. I've kind of, followed the old suck it and see approach, which is, it's what I encourage Jude to do in general in life. Just suck it and see, Jude. And, that's got her in a lot of trouble. It's got me in a bit of trouble, just quietly as well over the years. Anyway, we are set up. I'll just show you a couple of things. So the displays, look at this, beautiful, hey? Split displays now with on your PFD and your MFD. We've got some stuff happening, and it's just wonderful. Flight plan plugged in. I had to do that manually. It doesn't automatically bring across or maybe it does now. Maybe the beta fixed it, I don't know. But I've had to plug this in manually. We've got some stuff here in terms of setting up performance now as well. So it does weight and fuel stuff, setting up all of your payloads, and we're not carrying any packs, just due to myself going across to Auckland this morning. Takeoff, blah, blah, blah. Also for the landing, if you want to go that far. Takeoff data, then it calculates some stuff. We're going to depart runway 08. The weather here, it's using the... it wasn't loading the METAR. I had to put that in manually. I'm not sure why. I could have sworn that METAR is available in Rarotonga, but anyway, using the RAT. And then it calculates some stuff for you based on the runway, how long you've got the runway length available, and the elevation and heading and all that sort of stuff, and grading. It knows all of that gear. And then you take off config if you want to deviate from the norm. I'll be taking off with flaps 1. Anti-ice off. Thrust reverses stowed. I don't know why you would ever have a selection other than stowed. Can you select it? You can't. Well, you can't, can you? Takeoff factor 1, rolling takeoff, no, it'll be a standing start. And then you take off data, it calculates your V speeds for you. Click this button, select the takeoff speeds, and it'll push it through over onto your PFD over there. So there's lots and lots of stuff built into this avionics. Absolutely fantastic, as I said. I won't do it justice in this video, but if there's something that sort of stands out for me along the way, I might draw attention to it. Anyway, folks, we're on the ground. We've got stuff loaded in. Old mate keen for us to depart the parking spot. The truck's looks like gonna. What's that called? A follow me truck. We'll call it a follow me truck out onto the runway. I don't exactly need help finding the runway here, pal. But look, I appreciate the level of service offered by the local Cook Island people. We'll depart and get us on our way. And yeah, video length, don't know, probably 30 minutes, something like that. Maybe a little bit longer. It is a long flight, but I'll try and be judicious. That's a difficult word to say. Judicious. Still having more difficulty saying it the second time with the edit during the course of the journey. Anyway, folks, we'll see you for the departure. Oh, this fly's off to a good start, folks. Oh, mate, he forgot to hit record. Anyway, you're going to see the departure from a different angle. There's Rarotonga. We took off from there. It wasn't a bad takeoff either. Just something, you get that little voice in your head, or in my case, 1,032 voices in your head. It says, I think you might have forgotten something, pal. And if you're making videos for YouTube, there's a little record button that you might want to have pressed. Anyway, folks, we are on our way with Georgie in command, flying our departure. Pegged for 240 knots, according to the FMS. Running with the auto throttles. We might take our standard barra here. I don't know what the transition altitude is this part of the world. Although if it's considered sort of New Zealand airspace, 10,000 might be a little bit too keen. I don't know. We'll sync our heading bug. Does anyone else have this sort of OCD tendency to sync their heading bug all the time? I got taught that. Not that I had a heading sync button even. The aeroplanes I used to fly. But I got taught it was good airmanship to always have your heading bug aligned with your current sort of heading. I'm trying to remember why. I don't know. I guess in case you're... No, I don't know. I'm not even going to guess. But there's something that I've carried through. And anyway, now here in the sim, I just have this tendency every couple of minutes to make sure that my heading bug is synced. Anyway, we're accelerating now to 270 knots. Yeah, so transition altitude must be more than 10, I reckon. So it must be on the New Zealand setup, I'm guessing by that. It's all plugged into the FMS, which is down here. Performance. No, where is it? Where is it? No, it's not synoptics. Where is it? Performance. Where am I thinking of going? It's not in utilities, is it? No, it's not. Where's the setup? The VNAV stuff. Oh, it's got to be down here, isn't it? Not going to be in that. That's a separate thing. Oh, you can display engine digits. Yeah, righto. The ITT stuff. Where's the VNAV stuff? It's over here. There we go. We get there eventually, folks. I've only flown this for about 13 hours. Still learning. Every single flight is a learning opportunity for myself. So it says the active VNAV waypoint is Dipu above 10. Well, we're cool for that. So here's the climb numbers. 270 and then cross over to Mach 0.76. Climbs beautifully, this thing. And then a cruise at 0.82, pilot define, and then you've got one for descent as well. VNAV works a treat. I use a bastardized approach to VNAV. I think it's probably the most polite way I can describe what I do. But look, you sim how you want to sim. Sim to the level of realism that you choose. Documentation that provided with this aircraft is very good. The support provided by Working Title via their Discord is fantastic.
people sharing stuff on forums. There's plenty of videos around of people flying it with a level of professionalism that I can only dream of. So plenty of stuff out there. If you're not on the beta, this thing should be released with the general release. I think they're forecasting January of 2023, which is where we are now. So it will be in your hands before too long if you have the Premium Deluxe version of the sim. Anyway, folks, we are safely on our way up to flight level 340. I'll join you again during the cruise. Right, folks, settled in the cruise, flight level 340, which, as I mentioned at the start, is a little lower than what this aircraft prefers. Let me sync that heading bug because, hey, you know how important that is. That and, when you're flying the jets, what's that thing I've got a bloody a fetish for? No, not that fetish, and not that fetish either. And we definitely don't want to talk about that fetish, mate. RTO, setting brakes, auto brakes to RTO. It's just one of those things. I just love doing that. Yeah, folks, I'm a bit weird, eh? But if you're watching this stuff, you're not exactly normal yourself, are you? Hey? I don't go throwing stones. Folks, we're settled in the cruise, as I mentioned. We've got 42 knots right in our face, so ground speed is reduced. It's 42 knots less than our TAS. Funny that, hey? The instructional quality just grows every video I make. So we're getting across the ground at 4:45. Let me sort of zoom down there for you. Not that. 4:45 here. 487 TAS. 4:45. We've got 9:54 to our next waypoint. It's incredible, isn't it? 154 miles to our waypoint. Distance to go is 1,580 to get us to Auckland. En route, current forecast is 3 hours and 33 minutes. And we've got enough fuel for 4 hours and 10 minutes. So we are, by my reckoning, we're not legal in terms of reserves, but nothing about this flight is legal. Nothing about these videos is legal. But anyway, just wanted to show you that sort of stuff, give you a bit of a status update. When you get this aircraft, if you choose to get this aircraft, explore this bit of avionics kit. Do some long flights. This bird really suits, a bit of a leg stretcher, and put it through its paces on a nice long journey and just explore all this stuff. Click buttons. I don't know, in terms of systems realism, I believe it's quite strong. I don't bother with a whole lot of stuff. There's checklists that you can follow, and people talk about how good this stuff's been modelled, all these buttons. I try and avoid clicking a lot of stuff, which reminds me, there's a couple of buttons that I really should have clicked. Landing lights could have come off, and we can let the invisible imaginary packs get up as well. Oh boy. Anyway, folks, let's have a look at the update, the sim update, well, the beta update, I should say, that came through this morning. We'll have a look at the release notes for that. Alright, so version 1.30.9.0 is what you are seeing, the release notes for same, pushed through on January the 4th, 2023. I like that they give that little warning. Outdated packages in your community folder may have an unexpected impact. I think that's been a part, at least on my side, of the issues that I've had. I've had to clean out some old stuff from my community folder, which has improved things, but I still get issues. So, yeah. Anyway, I won't labour that point. If you're experiencing those issues, you're frustrated enough without me bringing attention to it. General bug fixes, improved crash performance issues for the TBM and LongiJude. Okay. Fixed secondary aerials. Okay. CJ4, lots of stuff. I won't read through each individual item, but it's getting attention. The guys at Working Title, guys and gals at Working Title, fantastic level of support. And this is in the stock sim. Hey, how good is that CJ4? Absolutely fantastic. Lots of stuff that's happened. The G3000 gets some more treatment. Great, and I think the real value there is, and like the work they did with the G1000, was the other aircraft, the range of aircraft that can now leverage that stuff. Leverage, that's an important sounding word. Haven't used that in a while. Leverage. Hey, there you go. Add that to your vocab, folks. I don't know what it means, but it sounds impressive. Yeah, lots of stuff there to G3000. The TBM, there you go, some stuff. LongiJude, flight, oh, they changed the flight model. Fix the flight model issue where phantom thrust was being generated. Oh, you don't want phantom thrust. You want to know where your thrust is coming from. You want to be sure, you want to be certain of your thrust. At this point, I wish I could turn to Jude and make a comment, but I won't because I can't. She doesn't appear in this VC. Adjusted flight model to provide more stability and accurate performance at high altitudes. I didn't notice that it wasn't stable. Aircraft should now have more accurate, lower pitch angles during approach. Ah, yes. You are carrying quite a high deck angle on the approach in this aircraft. I wondered if that was realistic. It would appear it wasn't, and they fixed it. Fixed some calculations, fixed some stuff on the MFD, autopilot, auto throttle. I thought it worked pretty well, but apparently not. Some other stuff. Okay. Systems and controls. Added no standby data CAS when the standby instrument's battery bus is not powered. I'll have a look at that because I'm seeing that message today. I wondered what that meant. Thank you. Some stuff to the the SDK even. Anyway, that's the update. The quick version of same. I had a person comment on one of the previous video where I talked about an update to something, and he said something like, "Thank you for wasting 9 minutes of my life," or something like that. Something like that, folks. I can only apologise. I try and cover some stuff during the cruise portion of these flights. If you come to my videos just to be informed about the update, the release notes that go with updates and stuff, I'm sorry, there's probably more efficient ways to spend your time, like go onto forums and go onto Discord and that sort of stuff. I just cover it in passing. So yeah, sorry mate again for making you feel like you wasted 9 minutes or whatever of your life watching my videos. That's nothing compared to how much time I waste making them. Anyway, folks, we'll see you again later on in the cruise. So on these long flights in this part of the world, folks, this is what you spend hours looking at. Blue with some white speckles. Unless you've got a weather system out here, and they do get some ripper weather systems out here. I've managed to avoid them on this journey so far, but otherwise, this is what you're looking at. I mentioned at the start of the video, I think, that I'd landed on a couple of coral atolls, I think they're called. Is that the word? Coral atolls. It's been a while since I've been to school, but I was never particularly good at geography. Yet I became a pilot. A pilot who wasn't particularly good at geography. Anyway, I digress. I mentioned that I landed, at those little places, coralish places. I think I've just invented a word. Coralish. Leverage earlier in the video. Hey, he's on fire, the old fella. As I'm saying these words, I'm going to put up some screenshots in during post, as the cool kids say, from one of those flights. I think it was the flight to Palmyra, I think, which has another name. It's Washington Island, I think. I love that. The Yanks discovered it. Well, they say they discovered it, I think in the 1800s or something like that, is my guess. Named it after George Washington. Yeah, we discovered it. I reckon it might have been discovered a little while before then, folks. But anyway, Palmyra has an interesting sort of history. And one of the advantages to doing these sort of journeys is it gives you time to do stuff, right? So long over water legs like this, where Georgie's in command, he's doing all the work for you. You can choose to spend your time doing other things, and sometimes I choose to spend my time learning about the places I fly to. So Palmyra, the photo that you'll be seeing, or screenshots, is the parking spot at the Palmyra airport. And talk about a room with a view, eh? But I mean, dead set, if a bloody pelican pisses, you're underwater. I mean, talk about sea level. I mean, genuinely sea level. The approach to that was fantastic. So I spent probably too much time looking out the window and enjoying the uniqueness of it. And I don't think I made a particularly good landing in Palmyra. But, yeah, and this is the photo that you'll be seeing in synchronization with these words is into Christmas Island. Have a look at the what's on the map display. How well that's represented. These places are unique. You know, a lot of us spend time flying between, you know, major cities and familiar locales, and that's all good and well if that's your thing. But a flight like this kind of opens up opportunities, and that's what I love about singing. One of the things I love about it is to explore places that I have no chance of ever going to IRL, and yeah, really unique experiences, and flying into these locations is enjoyable in its own right. I don't think I've done a particularly... I've never landed this aeroplane, and I've only flown it, 6 times or something. I've never landed it particularly well. It lands, for me, I land it quite heavy, like it's a firm arrival, and I don't seem to be able to sort of get it right. If you chop the power too early, this thing just, you know, it's a magnet for the runway. Loves a bit of sink, and I've tried to sort of finesse the coordination, you know, throttle and elevator and all that sort of stuff, and it's still always a firm arrival. We'll see what happens in Auckland today. They've changed the flight dynamics, but for the approach, whether that translates into a change in the flare, I don't know. Whether I'm just flying it incorrectly, that's a possibility. Anyway, folks, just wanted to share those couple of snaps with you. If you get an opportunity to explore this part of the world, take the opportunity. It's certainly different from flying on the mainland sort of city pairs. So we're about a quarter of a way into the flight at this time, and it gets a bit lonely up here. So, with your permission, I'm going to fill in some time and share some other simming related stuff with you, the kind viewing audience. And can I just say once again how much I appreciate the support that I receive from the community, the kindness, the humour that you guys share with an old fella who's making these videos is it warms the old cockles of one's heart. I mentioned at the start that this flight's the final leg in a long journey which has been done in FSEconomy. I've spoken about FSEconomy in previous videos. I'm guessing by this point quite a few of the viewers to this video will be at least familiar with FSEconomy. Some of you do actually partake in the habit. It can become a little bit addictive, that sort of thing. Those sort of, let's call them career modes, FSEconomy being one. So this aircraft aboard in Seattle, I'm ferrying it down to be based out of Auckland. I'm going to do some flying around the oceanic region in FSEconomy. And I've provided, I'm doing this, I bought this aircraft, I should say, for a group that I run in FSEconomy called Southern Suns. I spoke about it late last year in a video. At that point, there was one aircraft that I was offering to anyone who wanted to join the group. You essentially get free rent of that aircraft that's based in Australia. The fleet has grown. A couple of you guys took me up on the offer and have been flying for Southern Suns, and I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're earning plenty of virtual coin as a result. I think you probably are. And yeah, I wanted to make that sort of opportunity open to more people and kind of relaunch it. And to help me do that, I've got some help and updated the website, my website, with some information. So I'm going to take you through that briefly now, if you don't mind. All right. So those of you that are not aware, I have a website to go along with this whole flying dad persona, this character, this nonsense, really. And I'm not sure I'm entirely comfortable with having a website, but I created it to kind of support this little hobby of mine, and it gets a few views, and people contact me via it, and I put some stuff up here, and it's kind of like a repository as opposed to a suppository, although some people may refer to it as a suppository, for me to put simming stuff, right? So this is the website, this is the landing page. Now you may notice, if you've been here before and you're paying attention, you may notice a few changes in recent times. I've sort of got some help recently to kind of do some updates and stuff. Anyway, one of the changes is expansion of the team, right? So I've added, so Jude and Sylvia were always there, me of course, although you may notice that I look different these days. The old avatar that I had made me look like I was 14. I'm not 14. There's a story about how that someone else created that for me a long time ago, and I never particularly liked it. So I've kind of gone in and got some help to sort of update it. It's more in line with where I am today. So it still doesn't really look like me, but it's probably closer than a 14-year-old kid wearing a baseball cap, that's for sure. But anyway, so Jude and Sylvia were always part of the team, and there have been many characters over the years, but I've added Joshua. You would have seen Joshua, not Josh. He featured in a couple of videos last year, I think. Lily featured in a video as well, and there's a new crew, a new gang that are going to appear in a future series. I've got a series planned featuring the Angels. I won't say anything more at this point. I don't know that I can actually invest the time in creating the series, but I have an idea, and it's something that I've thought about for a while. So the Angels are planned to appear sometime in 2023. I hope I haven't broken any copyright there. I know there's a band called the Angels, good band too, actually. So don't lawyer up and sue me, eh? I got nothing to give you. Anyway, there's a new page that we've added into the site around FSEconomy, right? So this is kind of an intro, like an entry point or something we called it, whatever it was. The front door. There you go. Copywriter. The front door to my exclusive group. So I've talked about this before, having a group, FSEconomy, called Southern Suns, and this sort of page just describes. It's kind of like a marketing pitch, right? There's no money. I lose money doing this. Virtual money, right? It's not real. I actually lose money. This is not a profitable venture. This is my way of giving back to the community. Those of you that are involved in FSE. So I've created a group, and basically we pay 100% of the assignment income to group members, right? Which means I lose money. because if you have a look on the example flight, the little thing on the side, Southern Suns, the group, pays the aircraft rent, the fuel, ground crew fees and booking fees. The group pays that. You get that paid for. So that's what you're basically ahead around about 15 to 20%, roughly, something like that. That's a pretty significant saving, right? You get 100% of the assignment income. So if you load the aircraft up and you fly, you fly the routes that are strategically profitable, and there are many, and I've got these aircraft, the fleet aircraft are in locations where you can make some decent coin. You can rapidly build some virtual wealth in FSEconomy while flying some pretty good aircraft, it must be said. So I've limited group membership to 10 subscribers. I'm already losing money with the couple of blokes that are involved. I'm losing enough. 10 is probably going to be the limit. So I've kept this, 10 subscribers. Look, we may not get anyone else. That's perfectly okay. There are currently vacancies, and if you want to join the group, you can send me a PM via the FS community on the forums, and join you. It's open only to subscribers of the channel. One of the little, I don't know, call it a perk if you like. How's that? I now offer perks. And they don't cost you anything. They cost me something. How's that? How stupid am I? Anyway, the Southern Suns fleet, I've got it mapped in Google Maps, Google My Maps. So we've got aircraft over there based in Austria, one in Thailand, one in Australia, and we've got some in New Zealand, including the aircraft that's featuring in this video. This is VH700, the Cessna LongiJude. It will be available at the conclusion of this flight. Based in Auckland, but of course you can take it wherever their business takes you. We've also added a Honda jet that's based over there in Austria. We've got the TBM 930, which is based in Wellington, New Zealand. Fantastic money maker. That thing has made me a lot of money, and it's now making group members money. We've got the Chancellor, which was the focus of the original sort of launch, if you like, last year. That's still based in Australia. I know there's one guy in the group who makes a nice bit of coin from that. Cessna 310, the Milviz one, fantastic aeroplane. That's based in Koh Samui in Thailand, so you can fly that around Southeast Asia and pretend that you're a charter pilot, and makes a decent amount of coin, but nothing fantastic. The DA40, which has featured in a few videos over there in New Zealand, based in Coromandel, and we've got a couple of FBOs there, a lot of FBOs sort of close by each other. You can make some good money, but it is only a 4-seater, so, and limited in terms of how much cargo it can carry. So these numbers here are kind of indicative based on my experience. You might get better than that on some flights. You may not make that on some flights, depending on where you fly and whatever. There's some rules of engagement which I've included, just some basic stuff. I don't want this to be over governed, but whenever you set up a group in FSEconomy, and I've been part of a few, and I just be sensible, hey? Just be sensible. It is for your benefit, group members. I feel like a salesman saying this stuff, but the intention is to give something back to the simming community that has supported me so well over the last few years with this YouTube caper. So this is something that we've set up. Southern Suns, if you want to be a part of it, send me a PM. All right, folks, we're inching closer to our destination, just over an hour away, 500 miles. Our headwind has reduced as we've got closer to New Zealand. New Zealand now appearing on the display. There'll be the Bay of Plenty there. Kind of Auckland 12 o'clock from here. We're going to fly a Star down onto 05 right. Flight's gone okay, apart from a headwind of sort of 70 knots, 60 to 70 knots for the most part. It's now reducing. The wind is sort of shifting around from a westerly more towards or from a southwesterly more towards a sort of a westerly. So we're going to pick up some ground speed. Yeah, which we have. But yeah, an hour and 7 minutes away. Plugged in some landing data, which is over here. So 05 right is our runway. I've loaded from the MEDAR data. You can show the MEDAR data. This is a really cool feature. It's quite a strong breeze there in Orky land, and yeah, the cloud, it's raining, and the cloud base is reducing all the time. So we may end up flying the ILS 05 right. We'll see. We'll see. Runway information, landing configuration will be a full flaps. Landing data is there. VREF of 113 knots. Let me just quickly go over the remaining legs from here until touchdown. And we'll use little nav map to do that. So we're currently en route between Mexip and Aklom, which is out here. Aklom is where we begin our star. Yeah, that's the Bay of Plenty there. Basically over the top of Great Barrier Island, and then we'll make a left dogleg taking us towards Auckland proper, and then fly a left circuit down onto 05 right. Here in little nav map, the weather is very similar to what's been reported in the sim proper. 060 at 21, rain cloud down to 9,000. Visibility is okay. They're calling it marginal VFR. Marginal VFR. I don't know, I might try and plug in an ILS. I don't think I've flown an ILS in this aircraft, so that might be something to do. I just noticed a couple of minutes ago a forum post, which happens to kind of correspond with what I was going to talk about in this segment anyway, which is about the Premium Deluxe upgrade for the sim, which is the only way of getting this aircraft and a whole bunch of others. Admittedly, there's about 10 or something other aircraft that you get, some of which hold no interest, others do, this one particular, and you have to fork out the full price. It's an upgrade, but it's at full price. So it was about 100, I think it was 127 or something Aussie dollars, which is a big hit to the wallet. And I thought long and hard about it. I sort of took myself into it, then out of it, into it, out of it, ultimately back into it when I saw what Working Title had done in terms of upgrading this aeroplane, updating it with the beta avionics stuff, and they spent a lot of time on this aircraft. It goes beyond the avionics, and I'm kind of excuse me as I take a much needed bevy, I'm kind of a fan of bizjets. I do enjoy them. Love the Honda Jet, which featured in the previous video, and I was looking for a long range jet for the purposes of FSE, and the LongiJude fit the bill. I just had to empty the wallet. In fact, I had to empty several wallets to get to 127 to pay for it. But yeah, a forum post, I come back to that. Forum post kind of expressing a wish that these aircraft were available for individual purchase for those people who have bought the cheaper versions of the sim. I think many people would agree with that. I'm one of them. I wish it was. I wish you could just buy these, but that's not the business model, and Asobo have been very clear that if you want this aeroplane and the other 9 that come with it, you have to fork out Premium Deluxe, and to choose wisely when you first purchase the sim. To save yourself some money, get the sim, the version that has the aeroplanes that you want to fly. Of course, for those of us like me that a couple of years later decide, you know what, I'd actually like 1 or 2 of those aeroplanes, but not the whole lot. We're kind of stuffed. Is it worth the upgrade price just for one aeroplane like this? Hell no. Hell no. I'm going to get value out of this aeroplane, no question, but there are a few others, or 2 others really, in the Premium Deluxe fleet that hold interest to me. One is the Dreamliner, the 787, although I'm feeling like I'm probably going to be a little bit disappointed by it. even with the mod that's available. I mean, that's going to be, we'll cover that in a separate video, in a future video, a Modders Monday episode, the heavy division mod for the 787. I like the 787. I've enjoyed flying it on as a PAX. And yeah, I kind of would like to do some long hauls occasionally. But then again, how often will I use it? I don't know. The other aircraft that holds some interest for me, for a number of reasons, is the Cirrus that's available in the Premium Deluxe. So we're going to check that out in a Modders Monday episode coming up. There's a mod available for that, a realism mod. So yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that for a spin shortly. So all the other airports that come with it, the Premium Deluxe, hold little interest for me. So I've really bought the so-called upgrade for 3 aircraft. So divide the total cost by 3, whatever, 40 something. I've basically paid $40 for each aircraft. The LongiJude's probably worth that. I don't think the 787 is, and I'm not sure the Cirrus is. What am I saying to myself? Have I just talked myself? Is this buyer's remorse? Probably. Anyway, my advice is probably to you is the same advice that Asobo give. Make sure you pick the right version from the start. Folks, I will see you. We're painting some weather, I see here. I will see you for the approach into Auckland. Alright, just about to begin our descent. We see our little magenta marker on the V path, the vertical path, start to come in. VNAV should do its thing. We're going to fly this approach on the Auto Magics. Let Georgie do his thing. There we go. There's the descent. Auto throttle will manage the speed. Dialed back to Mach 0.80. Lots of weather. The bloody display, the weather radar is painting like a bloody madwoman. But the benefit of having split displays, you've got the MFD absolutely covered in the yellow and the green, a bit of red as well, on the approach, we're on the approach now, but coming in towards New Zealand. Went through some red stuff, got a bit bumpy. The left display over here, the nav map on the PFD, nice and clean. Of course, I could paint weather on there if I wanted to, like so. Bang, and it becomes a little bit too colourful for mine. So we can take that. Off. Anyway, we are flying a star and an ILS down onto 05 right. Even the weather has deteriorated since our initial sort of look-see at it. So this could make for an interesting approach. We're in between layers at the moment. It looks like we're also getting we've got some visible moisture on the windscreen by the looks, do we? Was it? Can we see it from the outside? Probably not. That is some windshield icing, isn't it? Yeah. Or is that the clouds? Maybe it's the clouds. You silly old fool. Anyway, we'll let the autopilot, Georgie, do his thing and take us all the way down. Fully automated approach. Hell, perhaps probably down to minimums. And then I'm going to take over and try and land this beast with a little bit of decorum. It would be a first if I can pull it off. Anyway, we'll see you for the final approach, folks. And folks, unfortunately, this is where this episode concludes. What you're currently looking at happens to be the same thing that I'm currently looking at, which is a frozen sim. The curse has struck again. What did I say earlier about crossing all your appendages and praying and rolling the dice? Today's not my lucky day. Unfortunately, this is not an unusual occurrence in recent times.
4 hours of flying.